life on dreams.
Am I like some sort of secret agent?
It's a little more complicated than that.
Moon Knight, original series available to stream exclusively on Disney+.
Kate and Adil are here with all the latest on Good Morning Britain tomorrow from 6. Jamie Lang and his fiancée Sophie will be telling us all about their big wedding plans on Lorraine at 9. Shavi Ramatar's back in the kitchen with her katsu curry on This Morning from 10. And the brilliant Tamsin Outhwaite is the guest on Loose Women at 12:30. Now the latest ITV news from Granada Reports with Gamal Fahnbuleh and Lucy Meacock.
Hello and welcome to Granada Reports, live with the latest across the northwest.
Hello, thanks for joining us on the programme this evening.
Baggage handlers apologise for huge delays at Manchester Airport, while one former airport worker says the chaos will continue.
To have it solved before the next bank holiday, which is May, is impossible.
And I'm live at Manchester Airport, where they insist it's been a better day for passengers. Passengers who've seen images of chaos for days. How were their journeys? I'll tell you later in the programme.
Northwest Volunteers tell us UK visa requirements are an embarrassment. They're leaving refugees stranded in Poland despite having new homes to come to.
Counting the cost of litter, we join the highways workers who help keep our motorways clean.
And he's the Liverpool superfan whose dream came true. How a robotic arm is helping Adam live independently.
Well, first tonight, a former airport worker who quit over the manner in which the airport was being run says he expects the chaos to continue.
Ray Ellis told us he's cancelled his own holiday. He fears for the safety of people using the airport. And worryingly tonight, Mayor Andy Burnham says he expects delays to last another 2 months.
Well, this comes after shocking scenes of huge queues at security and abandoned baggage in arrivals, with many people missing flights.
Well, today, Swissport, the baggage handling firm, also apologised for their part in the problems, blaming staff shortages.
In a moment, we'll be live at the airport for the latest, but first, Andrew Fletcher has tonight's top story.
It's been busy but not chaotic at Manchester Airport today. The airport says waiting times have been significantly improved. Passengers have followed advice to arrive early for their flights.
Arriving here's been fine, parking's been fine, but just looking around the departure lounge here, it's clearly busy. So just a bit anxious around what might be ahead in security.
Having to get up that extra hour, so being here 4 hours instead of 3 hours, and then the desk isn't open anyway for 3.
But the problems behind scenes like these over the weekend have not gone away. Manchester Airport Group has apologised for the delays caused by staff shortages and recruitment challenges. And today the baggage handling firm Swissport said sorry to passengers who'd waited hours for their luggage. As a former baggage handler, Ray Ellis knows all too well the pressures on staff. He worked at the airport for 27 years before quitting last month in protest at working conditions that he considered to be unsafe.
Staff haven't got a downtime. It's very, very difficult for them to balance home life with work life. They're getting exhausted, they're getting disheartened because they feel like the management are not listening to some of the concerns.
Manchester Airport told us safety and security of passengers and staff is their first priority, and policies and procedures are regularly reviewed. Ray thinks staff shortages and passenger delays will continue into the summer.
I myself have cancelled my own holiday with my family and grandchildren, which was booked for the 26th of August, bank holiday weekend, on the expectation it's not going to be a safe environment to take them through.
For those who have got through, there's relief and praise for the efforts of staff. 83-year-old Maureen McParlin flew to Malaga yesterday to visit her daughter. She queued for 3 hours for her flight, then waited another 3 hours for a delayed takeoff.
The worst part of it, I suppose, was just not knowing what was happening. You know, it was like, she's got 35 minutes and she's not even through security. How on earth is that going to work? Staff were brilliant, but they weren't enough of them.
Well, thank goodness she got there safely in the end. We can cross live now to Rob Smith, who is at Terminal 2 for us tonight. Rob, what is the situation there tonight?
Well, there's an upside and there's a downside here tonight. The upside is that you go in there and it feels like a very different airport from the one we've seen in all of those chaotic images of late. Staff say it's been a better day for passengers, and so many passengers I spoke to, that was their experience. They just didn't go through that kind of chaos. Pleasantly surprised, to put it mildly. One man who flew in from Australia, been travelling for the best part of 2 days, had seen all of this on the news, was worried what was going to greet him. Was he going to be stuck on the tarmac in the plane, stuck at baggage reclaim? In the end, he breezed through. But, and it's a big but, this is not a peak day for travel during the school holidays. And if that sounds like the downside, it actually isn't. The downside is that the Mayor of Greater Manchester met with airport management, who told him they expect this disruption to last for 2 months. 2 months. Now think of all of the holiday getaways and returns that are going to happen in that time. The police presence has been increased here. The Mayor has offered Transport for Greater Manchester staff to help out with queues and passenger communication. The airport said in that meeting they'd hired 220 new employees, but that vetting process was taking some time. The bottom line is one quieter day is just that. It doesn't mean it's fixed.
Rob, thank you.
Well, many of you have got in touch with us about this story. This one from Bernadette Kerrigan. She says, my daughter flew on Sunday morning and it took 2.5 hours to get through security. The queue was right around the terminal building.
Yeah, David Holdsworth says, we're planning to fly away for our wedding at the weekend. We need to be at the resort the next day. The whole day may be ruined. It's already been 2 years in the planning with 3 postponements.
Dean Puckering says, we went through at the weekend and it was an absolute breeze, he says. They're doing an incredibly difficult job in challenging times and the staff deserve a bit of credit. They don't make the rules, they're just doing their jobs. Show them some respect.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And Jill Prowse says, people are desperate for some normality. Airport staff are under immense pressure while woefully understaffed through no fault of their own. It's holidays in the UK for us personally. Thanks for all of those. Keep them coming.
Absolutely. Well, next this evening, and volunteers from the northwest who've been helping Ukrainian refugees on the Polish border say the UK's visa requirements are an embarrassment.
Yeah, red tape and paperwork mean many people remain stuck in limbo despite having an offer of shelter here in the northwest.
In the last of her special reports from the town of Przemysl, here's Victoria Grimes.
The horrors of this war continue to spill into Poland. Every day brings more refugees forced to flee from their lives and for them. And weeks after the war started, Britain is still keeping them waiting. Those trying to help say other countries are laughing at our system.
The fact that Britain is the only country in Europe that requires a visa is somewhat embarrassing, to be honest.
Ukrainian Tanya Birch flew from her home in Salford to volunteer and help her country people. She's worried about her elderly parents. They were evacuated but returned home to Lviv after 2 days. Her sister is stuck in Poland.
We applied on the 5th of March and I'm still waiting for the visa. The kids have gone to a Polish school because it's been so long. These Ukrainian refugees, they're so gracious. They're saying, we don't mind how long we need to wait, as long as there is no shelling and we're not being shot at. We don't mind how long to wait. Hi, so this is Kevin, this is Tonya. Hi, Kevin. And Vicky. Oh. Nice to meet you.
Tanya's been helping Victoria and Tonya. She's found them a home in Manchester with Kevin. He's ready to welcome them, but they have no idea when they will get there. Back at the refuge centre in Przemysl, we meet Jamie Walker, who's from Bury. He spent weeks trying to help people fill in UK visa applications.
What's really sad is the fact that there's no one from the UK government here, because it's taken volunteers 4 hours to fill that application form out, and then it's taken up to 4 weeks for them to be processed and to be able to get their visa to go to the UK. Whereas other countries, it's much quicker. They're going straight on a bus with a quick form, being able to go out there, but instead the UK government are relying on volunteers to do it for them here. It's heartbreaking because you've got a lot of people here that have already gone through a lot. Yeah, people want to come to the UK, but the process and the fact that they have to wait around here, they're having to stay in churches, school halls, so it's putting them off.
Well, cameras aren't allowed inside the reception centre, but I've just been in, and I think what really strikes you when you get in there is the sheer number of people there. They're just camp beds, wall to wall on every spare bit of space of what is effectively a shopping centre. And that's where people are being brought when they come over the border here. As the waiting game continues for so many, fears over safety grow. At the border, there's rumours of people acting suspiciously, whose motivation to help may not be honest. Officials in Poland say they haven't spotted anything untoward, but volunteers say otherwise.
We're seeing it every time we go on the border. We have to have a metal fence to protect the refugees from being targeted by traffickers. And the police is standing there so that they can walk from the border as they cross to the bus without being targeted by those individuals that shouldn't be anywhere near them.
We've heard about it, and it's very concerning. We don't want anything bad to happen to our people.
With so many moving across Europe, the opportunities for exploitation are rife. The sooner those fleeing their own land can get on with their lives in their next destination, the safer they'll be, even with the Manchester weather. You ready for the Manchester weather?
Скажу так, що Польща нас готує дуже добре.
We're okay with the rain. We've had plenty of practice in Poland. Victoria Grimes, ITV News, Przemysl on the Polish-Ukraine border.
Well, the government has responded to some of the issues raised in that report.
In a statement, they told us, we acknowledge progress approving visas has not been good enough. The Home Office has made changes to visa processing. The application form has been streamlined. Ukrainian passport holders can now apply online and do their biometrics checks once in the UK, and greater resource has gone into the system.
They go on to say this is allowing us to welcome people faster while still maintaining security checks which ensure those who could pose a threat to our safety are prevented from getting here, and human trafficking is addressed.
Well, next, on last night's programme to mark the 40th anniversary of the start of the Falklands War, we feature the story of the sinking of the Atlantic conveyor.
Well, tonight it's the turn of Royal Marine Darrell Walker from Burnley. He was just 19 when he was sent to fight in the Falklands.
Our reporter Paul Crone has Darrell's story, and it does contain details of war and its consequences.
On board, 2,500 Royal Marines, 4-0 Commando, 4-2 Commando, and half of 4-5 Commando, back from the fighting in the Falklands.
And one of those Marines from 4-5 Commando on board the troop ship Canberra, docking in Southampton in July 1982, was 19-year-old Darrell Walker from Burnley. But it was a very different picture for the teenager moments after he landed in Ajax Bay in the South Atlantic just a few weeks before.
I walked between two buildings and a 2-inch shell from a jet went ba-ba-ba-bam straight through the building and hit the ground about 18 inches in front of me. And this was like a minute after getting off the landing craft. I thought, this is kicking off, innit? This is for real, like.
Darrell took part in the now legendary Yomp, or March, across the Falklands to Port Stanley, 56 miles in 3 days with full kit, and a major battle to fight on the way at Two Sisters on June the 11th, 1982. Fighting was bloody and at times hand to hand. Darrell recalls the moment he had an Argentine army major in his sights.
What I did was fire 3 shots and wait for him to fire his automatic, and then aimed at his muzzle flash and bang, 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 and then you could see the muzzle flash go up. So I know I got him, and they went up the next day and there was some Argentines and a few of their medics and that stood around this dead body with 1 bullet in the middle of his chest, so I got the guy, like. I see things in my mind now, like so vividly, things that must have happened in seconds. They're like a rerun in my mind, that, as if they went on for, you know, for a long while, but they couldn't have done. They must have been literally seconds, but I still see it.
The Marines eventually took the Two Sisters, and Darrell came face to face with enemy prisoners of war.
They were petrified. They were scared out of their wits. They were no older than us. They were like 17, 18, 19 years old. And they were walking through basically the whole of us, which had just been killing them the night before, and they had to walk right through us all, and you could tell they were absolutely petrified.
The young Marine's war ended as he marched into Port Stanley, and he has mixed thoughts on the Falkland Islanders he went there to liberate.
The lives may have been no worse than they are now under Argentinian rule. I don't know. You know, it may have been fine, but they've been forcibly, you know, overrun by Argentinian forces. It's got to be a petrifying experience, hasn't it? It's not something that we can imagine in normal day life.
To this day, those who live on the Falklands will be forever indebted to the task force that travelled 8,000 miles to liberate them. The loss of 255 British servicemen is never taken lightly.
One of the major feelings I had right through the whole thing, particularly after the British arrived, that people were losing their lives in order for us to actually maintain our livelihood and our way of life. And I found that very difficult.
I don't take pride in having shot somebody or other people losing their life at my hands.
But Royal Marine Darrell Walker can certainly take pride in his honesty and humility, recalling the Falklands War 40 years ago in such vivid detail. Paul Crone, ITV News.
Yeah, well, thanks to Darrell and everyone who's been sharing those difficult stories with Paul Crone for us. Well, closer to home, next tonight, it's a dirty job, but someone has to do it. We're talking rubbish. Not for the first or last time on this programme, you might be thinking, but we're talking about the serious issue of litter on the sides of roads. Not only bad for the environment, but also really hazardous for wildlife.
Yeah, so it does have to be picked up, doesn't it? But it's not a job for the faint-hearted. Just imagine standing beside a live traffic lane as you pick up discarded food wrappers, drinks cans or worse.
Well, it's a job National Highways have to do on our motorway network on an almost daily basis.
Our correspondents Mel Barham and cameraman Mike Ledward find out exactly what that involves.
Next time you see litter on the side of the road, spare a thought for those who have to pick it up. It's a rubbish job. In fact, it can be downright dangerous.
If the supervisor asks you to do something, please do it.
This is the morning safety briefing at National Highways before this team are transported to a live stretch of motorway at junction 12 of the M56. Our cameras have been invited out to film what is an almost daily chore for National Highways, and an expensive chore that's entirely preventable we all need for our waste.
So many animals who live here near, and they get some wrappers and they might have heads caught.
Joining the litter pick today are local MP Mike Amesbury and Natalie from Keep Britain Tidy. This tying in with their Great British Spring Clean campaign.
We found cans, bottles, we found some bottles filled with urine, shrink wrap stuck to the brambles.
Back at the depot, these skips quickly fill up. And with more than 2.5 million pieces of litter dropped in the UK every single day, it's not hard to see why.
Keep Britain Tidy estimates it costs the taxpayer about £1 billion to pick that up. And the amount of litter that is dropped has increased by 500% since the 1960s. That equates to 30 million tonnes.
But this rubbish isn't just unsightly, it's hazardous, not only to those who have to pick it up, but to the environment, to wildlife and to other motorists.
The problem with it is it can move. So if it gets lifted up and becomes a projectile, then it can either get into the running lanes or it can hit vehicles' windscreens, and people are not expecting to see that coming at them. So, you know, their reaction is often to brake or to take evasive action for that. And unfortunately, that can happen to be an incident. People obviously bumping each other on the network.
Litter picking on motorways is of course strictly for the professionals, but Keep Britain Tidy are hoping to encourage all of us to get involved in our local community.
The Great British Spring Clean is a fantastic moment for people to get involved in caring for the environment on their doorstep. We found that people who take part in volunteering to pick up litter really feel that sense of pride for their community, and rather than being part of the problem, we can all say, look, I'm going to take steps to be part of the solution.
It's a message they're hoping everyone will take away with them. just like their rubbish. Mel Barham, ITV News, Runcorn.
Yeah, please don't throw your litter out of the car.
Absolutely difficult and challenging job. On to sport now, and both Liverpool and Manchester City have one foot in the Champions League semi-finals. Liverpool won in style in Lisbon, beaten Benfica by 3-1. Meanwhile, Manchester City overcame a tough Atletico Madrid side at the Etihad Stadium to go 1-0 up in the tie. The return legs will be played next week.
And in the Premier League, Burnley have the chance to close the gap on Everton in what's becoming a fierce relegation battle. The sides will face each other at Turf Moor, where a win for the Clarets will see them moved within a point of Everton. Frank Lampard says his team know Burnley won't make it easy for them.
As you watch, them play against Manchester City at the weekend at 2-0 in the early parts of the game, Manchester City generally go on and score more. Burnley don't make it easy for you. With Burnley, and because of what will be deemed to be at stake, even though there are 9 games to go after for us, then you know that it's a big pressure game, which is what we're here for.
Yeah, manager under pressure. OK, here's what's still to come on the ITV News at 6:30 with Mary.
Coming up in the programme, the double hit from the national insurance rise to help fund social care. Today's increase affects both employees and businesses, but it could well lead to price rises, as well as reducing pay packets. Also had a special report on the backlog of kitchen inspections. Just how clean is your local takeaway? Plus, the song that Ed Sheeran didn't steal. The star wins his copyright case and condemns what he calls a damaging claim culture.
Hopefully we can all get back to writing songs rather than having to prove that we can write them.
Do join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Well, next to the man from Crosby to become one of the first people in the UK to get a robotic arm to help him live more independently. Granada Reports has been following Liverpool superfan Adam Kent's journey to get the rare kit.
Yeah, his lifelong dream was to raise his scarf when the crowd was singing "You'll Never Walk Alone." And now Adam, who has Duchenne muscular dystrophy, can do that, as Sarah Rogers reports.
OK, Adam, so we've got your Jayco robotic arm here to fit your wheelchair.
Have you got it in a crimson red?
I'm afraid not, Adam, but you can get it to hold your Liverpool scarf up.
Liverpool superfan Adam Kent has been waiting for this for a long time. And whilst it might not be available in his beloved team colours, this rare bit of kit will kickstart a more independent future for Adam, who lives with Duchenne muscular dystrophy.
Can't have this.
After a couple of hours of tinkering, the robotic arm is ready to go.
This arm will help me do a lot of things that people take for granted. Like even just going into your fridge and getting a drink will mean a lot to me, even though it's not the biggest thing, but it is to me.
Last year we followed Adam as his beloved club paid for him to rent the arm so that he could do this, achieving a lifelong dream. But now he can raise his scarf for every game. This is him last weekend. The Reds won 2-0. But being able to raise a glass or open a door are the everyday dreams that Adam can now realise. The family are fundraising to buy one, but they cost £50,000. For now, they've managed to agree a one-off arrangement to rent it.
It's here and now, and that's what matters. You know, there's a lot in our life where we've got to take the moment. You know, it's an inspiration to me to be able to watch him achieve these things.
It's about independence.
The technology is incredibly rare. The family have been working with disability specialists to get their hands on it.
We've got 4 of these in the UK, and now Adam makes 5, and he's the first person in the Northwest to have one. It's great news. But the other thing that Adam's able to do now is raise awareness of this kind of technology.
It's tech that could also help Adam's brother Alex, who has the same genetic condition. The fundraising continues to reach that £50,000 target.
So long journey. It means a lot that we've got people that care about us, that care about me and Adam.
And that long journey continues to keep Adam's robotic arm by his side for good. Sarah Rogers, ITV News in Crosby.
Absolutely incredible. Very best of luck to him with that. Well, now let's look at the weather with John.
That sunshine really made your eyeshadow pop, you know? And you put the wipe in the bin, not the toilet.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Go ahead, Queen.
Hello there, good evening. Wind is a weather word for the next 24 to 36 hours, and quite a lot of it too, making for some rough seas at the coast, like here in Heysham. Just up the coast, so in Morecambe, look at that sky this afternoon. Plenty of action taking place there. And it's all thanks to this area of low pressure on the weather chart, which is going to squeeze its way through Scotland, squeezing those isobars later on tonight. The Met Office have issued a warning, gusts up to 70 miles per hour in the early hours of tomorrow morning. Slowly but surely, those winds will ease tomorrow, but the northerly winds will drag in some cold air from the Arctic. So plenty of heavy showers passing through overnight tonight. They'll soon whiz through on that wind. A reminder of that Met Office warning, gusts up to 70 miles per hour, potentially at the coast for a time and over the hills. And the overnight low around 4 Celsius. There is sometimes for tomorrow, up in the morning at 6:30, setting again at 7:57 tomorrow evening. Tomorrow is another day of sunshine and showers, plenty of showers in the morning, fewer showers in the afternoon, more in the way of sunshine, but as that cold air digs in, some of those showers are going to turn wintry, especially up over the hills. It's windy again, top temperatures 8 Celsius, feeling quite chilly in that wind. And through tomorrow evening, just a scattering of showers passing through. And then on Friday, a frosty start, plenty of sunshine around. It should just about stay dry with a top temperature of 10 Celsius. Big question is, are we going to see blue skies in Aintree for the Grand National on Saturday? Do you know what? I think we will. Enjoy your evening.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Those eyebrows are unreal.
What I like to hear, John. Tomorrow we're live at Aintree as we gear up for the Grand National.
Yeah, you might need an extra thermal or two if you're heading in that direction. We're also going to be live there on Friday when they're letting us out of the studio to go, which we're very excited about. Bye.
Bye-bye.